Moving right along with the summer report series, today we are taking a look at the Carolina Hurricanes. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe. Check out our Instagram at Goal Line Hockey as well. Take a look at our summer report playlist as well. Let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, so let's get right into the Carolina Hurricanes. So looking at their lineup, definitely some changes to the Carolina Hurricanes lineup this summer, specifically in goal. But even up front, there were a couple changes to the forward core in Carolina. So taking a look at the first line, we got Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen. I like that line there for the Carolina Hurricanes. Svechnikov has something to prove. He had an unbelievable playoffs last year with the Hurricanes, despite getting his face punched in by Alexander Ovechkin. But nonetheless, really good player. And he was able to score and put up some pretty good point totals there for the Carolina Hurricanes last year. So hopefully that continues for him. Carolina Hurricanes applauding Marc Bergevin for his unbelievable, generous gift of getting rid of the contract talks between the Carolina Hurricanes, Don Waddell, and Sebastian Aho for his less than $9 million contract. So I'm sure Carolina sent a thank you gift to Marc Bergevin for that one. Teuvo Teravainen, really good player. He came over from the Chicago Blackhawks in that deal a couple of years ago with the Bickle Bolin deal, something weird like that. But yeah, Teuvo Teravainen has really turned it on. One of the better wingers in the NHL. Really good pickup there, and he's definitely a good piece for this Carolina team. Looking at the second line, you got the newly acquired Ryan Dzingel, Jordan Staal, and Nino Niederreiter. I really like the second line as well. They got some really good depth here in Carolina. Dzingel comes in, really wasn't getting the offers he was hoping, and he gets a pretty nice contract. It's a pretty fair deal. Carolina really didn't give up that much in terms of money to Ryan Dzingel to kind of take Michael Ferland's role since he's moved on to Vancouver. Down the middle, you have Jordan Staal. He's been there for a while now. He was there actually with his brother Eric for a pretty decent time before Eric Staal was traded. And then Nino Niederreiter. This kills me. This kills me because the Islanders, when they traded Nino Niederreiter, I was very disappointed. I remember seeing the blue and orange scrimmage game and just how good of a player he was, the amount of skill he had. But he just didn't get along with the coaching staff with the Islanders, and he was dealt. They said he had attitude issues. He would never make it. He's doing pretty well. He went to the Minnesota Wild. I was fine with that. He was in the Central Division in the Western Conference. I really didn't care that much. And of course, he gets traded back into the Metropolitan Division where the Islanders play. I love Nino Niederreiter, very skilled player, really great guy, and the Carolina Hurricanes got themselves a winning trade yet again. They won a couple of big trades over the past year and a half. Don Waddell's done a great job, and that's a really good second line there for the Hurricanes. Definitely no complaints. Looking at the third line, you got Erik Haula on the left side, Lucas Wallmark on the middle, and Jordan Martinook on the right side. So again, a pretty good line there for the Carolina Hurricanes. Erik Haula playing on the wing. He could play center as well, which is definitely good for the Carolina Hurricanes. So they have a lot of depth, not only on the wings, but down the middle, who are playing on the wings. So really good job by the Hurricanes. Don Waddell. Again, another guy they brought in for fairly cheap from Vegas. Vegas was giving out little party, favors, to alleviate some cap space for the Golden Knights. And then looking at, a guy like Jordan Martinook, he played pretty well in the playoffs last year for the Hurricanes. Missed him a little bit against the Islanders and toward the end of that cap series, but played really well. Lucas Wallmark, not really sure how I feel about Wallmark. I feel like he could be on the wing or on the fourth line for Haula to play in the middle on the third line there. Then you got the fourth line, which I think is a really good fourth line, but it's unproven, which is the caveat. You got Warren Fogle, who I think could even jump into the top six. I think he's a utility player. He can jump in and around the lineup, and I think that's huge for for the Carolina Hurricanes. So they have him on the fourth line. He could easily move up to the second or third line as well. Clark Bishop down the middle. This is where I get a little bit concerned. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Clark Bishop. I assume he played with that very good Charlotte Checkers team last year. So that if so, they'd had an unbelievable season over the past 2 or 3 years, that Charlotte team. So if he was on that team, I'm sure he was a big piece of that. That could be a really good addition there for the Carolina Hurricanes. Brock McGinn on the right side. I like Brock McGinn. He's a pretty good player, and he's actually the first restricted free agent to have his arbitration hearing. So we expect the deal will be done hopefully before then, but if not, it will be done then, and he will be a Carolina Hurricane. So no concerns with Brock McGinn. You got, looking at the defense for the Carolina Hurricanes, you got the top pair of Jacob Slavin and Dougie Hamilton. And Jacob Slavin, we saw the emergence of Jacob Slavin in the playoffs this year, just how good he can be in the playoffs. He dipped off a little bit in the conference final against the Boston Bruins, but a lot of that Hurricanes team did, unfortunately, and things didn't work out necessarily the way he would have hoped in that third round. But the first 2 rounds, he really raised his profile, and he's really becoming a household name around the NHL, Mr. Jacob Slavin. And then Dougie Hamilton, for better or for worse, people have their differing opinions on him. He's a polarizing figure in the NHL. Some hate him, some love him. I think he's a great player there for the Hurricanes. I think it's crazy they were thinking about trading Dougie Hamilton, but we'll see what happens. Looking at the second pairing, you got Hayden Fleury and Justin Falk. I think Justin Falk is still a pretty good defenseman, serviceable defenseman. They've obviously been looking to trade Justin Falk. It's been talked about for a while. His contract ends at the end of this year. I don't think Carolina wants to renew it, so I'd think that they'd want to find a way to move out Justin Falk. Hayden Fleury on the left side, I think he's got to prove himself a little bit. He's a younger guy. He'd probably be better in the top 6 or in the bottom 6, on that third pair there for the Hurricanes. But I think this is a good stepping stone playing with Falk. If he does end up playing with Falk on opening night, I think that would be pretty good for Hayden Fleury. Looking at the third pairing, you got Gustav Forsling. I like Forsling. He came over from the Chicago Blackhawks in that DeHaan trade. A little bit of a weird trade. I'll get into that as well. And Brett Pesce on the right side. I love Brett Pesce. I think he should be in the top 4. That's why it makes a guy like Justin Falk expendable, because of a guy like Pesce. Really good player, and a guy that I think Carolina is going to be looking to moving forward. So Forsling was traded from the Chicago Blackhawks. DeHaan was in the deal. A couple of other weird pieces were in the deal. I'm not really sure why the Hurricanes did that necessarily, but they did bring in Gustav Forsling on the left side. I guess they saw they had a lot of guys on the right side, so DeHaan, and they just figured they'd move him. Or maybe they just really liked Hayden Fleury, so it was easier to move on from a guy like DeHaan. So it seems like they're getting younger with that core, and that's why they moved out a guy like Calvin DeHaan. I really like DeHaan. He flipped me a puck, actually, when we went to a New Jersey Devils game against the Islanders. So that's always going to stay with me. I still have that puck sitting on my my cabinet. So really, just I'll never forget that. I'll always have a little thing for Calvin DeHaan. Whether he didn't like the Islanders when he was with them, he kind of threw some shade at the Islanders, but I still like Calvin DeHaan nonetheless. A little bit biased, but I still do. And then you got goaltending, and this was interesting because we had Peter Mrazek and Curtis McElhinney both go into free agency, and it seemed like the Hurricanes were going to lose both of these guys, and it turned out the market was a little bit dry on goaltending. So Peter Mrazek came back for a little bit cheaper of a contract. We have not heard anything on McElhinney. If he does play in hockey this year, he'd probably go overseas at this point. If not, he'll probably just hang up the skates. He's in his late 30s. He'll probably just end it here. And then they have James Reimer, who they brought in the Carolina Panthers trade. They moved out the contract of Scott Darling in the event that Florida wants to buy him out. So James Reimer was rumored to possibly be getting a buyout, but it never ended up happening. So I guess they're going to stay with him. It's going to be James Reimer and Peter Mrazek in Carolina. So I think that's a pretty decent tandem. I think Reimer has a little bit to prove, and hopefully he can turn things around, stay healthy as well, for the Carolina Hurricanes. So let me know what you guys think of the Hurricanes roster. Now looking at the salary implications, guys that are available, the draft picks that they have, pretty lucrative on that front as well. So they have $4.5 million in cap space. You got Justin Falk and Trevor Van Riemsdyk contracts coming up next season for 2020. So July 1st, those two players, Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Justin Falk, will be free agents. So I'd assume they'd either want to get something done somewhat soon or try and trade them. And we've heard about Justin Falk trade rumors for a while now. So that's definitely a possibility. Looking at restricted free agents, like I mentioned earlier, Brock McGinn has his arbitration set toward the end of this month, so that will get done, and he will be the first player to have his arbitration hearing. You never want to be the first. Fortunately, Brock McGinn got that lucky Jeopardy jackpot, so he'll probably get less money than some of these other guys, but what do you do? It is what it is. It's a one-year deal, so you deal with it next year. The other thing, looking at the Carolina Hurricanes, is they have a plethora of draft picks. They have their own first, their own second, their own third this year, and including that, in the Toronto trade where they picked up Patrick Marleau's contract to buy him out, they acquired a first-round pick from Toronto. They acquired a third-round pick from the Buffalo Sabres, and they acquired a third-round pick from the New York Rangers. So they have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds for this upcoming 2020 NHL draft. So could be a pretty good draft year once again for the Hurricanes. They were arguably one of the winners this year for the 2019 NHL draft, and they have the possibility to do the same next year as well. So Don Waddell doing a pretty good job. He's got a decent roster here in Carolina. They made it to the conference finals last year, and they have some draft picks if they want to move guys out or bring in an upgrade, or there are plenty of options there for Waddell. He's kind of got his feet wet and everything. He's got draft picks. He's got salary cap space. And he has a pretty decent product on the ice. So he's doing a really good job keeping things balanced with the Hurricanes. Let me know what you guys think of the Carolina Hurricanes heading into the 2019-2020 season. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe. Check out our Instagram as well, at Goal Line Hockey. Check out our playlist of the Summer Report as well. Check out all of our 31 NHL videos talking about the teams this summer during the dog days, really, of the NHL season. So not too much news. News has kind of been drying up recently, but we'll keep you updated when things come out. I'm going to be a little bit more active on the Instagram in terms of news, breaking news, trying to break the news. It's tough to get videos done, necessarily the timing that I want to. So, try and get that Instagram, and it'll be a little bit more. I'll be a little bit more active, and it'll be as close to up to date as I can. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and have a good day.